I'm Steve Dangle, and you're listening to Stick to the Pod.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Stick to the Pod, episode 39. It's been Cup weekend, lots of action. Let's get straight into it. But first of all, just another message from me to say thank you all again for your kind messages up lately. They've been great, supportive. I'm glad you all enjoyed the little pod that I put out last week. I know it wasn't the usual in-depth stuff that we go through here on Stick to the Pod. But yeah, I've been away a while. I had a bit of a break, obviously Christmas period, holiday and all that. So your messages, thank you to those who did drop me a message and stuff, and it's very much appreciated. Also, you may as well, or you may have not have noticed, fancied a little change, want something that's more printable for merchandise for myself. So I have changed the logo. Let me know what you think of the logo. It's a bit cleaner and fresher in my opinion. I still love my last logo of Matty, so thank you very much Matty for that. I've still kept it. I may just return to it one day, but for now, little change. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of the new logo. Drop me a message, email, sticktothepod@gmail.com, or drop me a private message, or whether it's Facebook or Twitter. But yeah, so let's just get straight into the weekend's action. What we are going to do first, before we talk about cup games, is there was one or two league games taking place over the weekend immemorially. Teams have took opportunity to try and get rearranged fixtures into them slots. So that's what's happened. So we'll get straight into that. So first up was the Nottingham Lions hosting the Widnes Wild. Widnes Wild have made one or two signings of late. A few players returning and a new face as well. So it was a 4-1 victory for the Widnes Wild. No, it wasn't. It was a 5-3 victory. I confused myself there. It was a 5-3 victory for the Widnes Wild. A huge win after getting outshot 54-24. It seems those shot counters in Nottingham are still using too many fingers and too many toes to add up their shots, and still getting probably nowhere near the correct amount. But yeah, a 54-24 outshooting the Widnes Wild, but it was the Widnes Wild who on shots were a lot more clinical, taking the game 5-3. Somerton, Rushby and Birchnell on the score sheet for the Lions, and it's Thompson 2, McClellan, Alston and Hayde who returns to the Wild on the score sheet for Widnes. Talking point in the game was the video doing the rounds on social media. A big hit was made on or just after the buzzer from a Lions player, which was a clean hit. It brought about a retaliation from Widnes Wild, Ben McClellan, who just took it upon himself to cross-check someone in the teeth and laid the guy out flat. I don't know if any injury became of that. I'd be shocked if there wasn't, but I haven't heard anything of that. But yeah, I think we can expect a big ban coming for Ben McClellan, cross-checking the young Lions player to the face. Also in league action on the weekend was the Leeds Knights and the Solihull Barons. The Barons taking the game 8-2 in Leeds, outshooting their horse 46-33. Deneco and the impressive Dell on the score sheet for the Knights. And for the Barons, it's White with 2, Dan Mulcahy with 3, Goodison, Yokiyama and Chandler. And the final league game of the weekend took place in Nottingham. It was the final game of the weekend where all hockey was concerned in the Morley. And it was Lions and the Knights. And again, the Lions outshoot their visitors 53-25. Incredible amount of shots for the Lions this weekend. 106 shots they've had this weekend and just a lousy 6 goals to show for it. Let us say, padding these shot stats probably isn't the best, but it is what it is. The Lions actually take the game late in overtime. Padalek with the OT winner, who added to Gibbs and Kemp scoring for the Lions. And it's Wag and Vengus for the Leeds Knights. So then, cup action it is. It's cup semi-final weekend. It's cup semi-final in Morley. It's cup semi-final in Laidler. And it was also cup semi-final weekend in the South. We ain't going to go into the South. This podcast isn't about the South. But what we will do is we will get Ben on from 0 Pucks Given in a couple of weeks' time, just to see how things are going in the south and how things are looking as we head closer to the Steel City Showdown in Sheffield. But moving on to the weekend's games, first up on the Saturday, because the Aces and the Sutton Sting were only having one game this weekend. I'm not quite sure when the reverse fixture is, but the only game on the Saturday was the Telford Tigers and the Billingham Buccaneers, and it's the Tigers who are showing off their brand new import, Vladimir Luka, who steals the show with a 8-point night and 5 goals on the night. Hunt scoring 2, import Jets also on the score sheet with Bartholomew and Stanton for the Telford's 10 goals, and it's Stephen Wallace with 2 and Andy Finn with 1 for the Billingham Buccaneers, losing the game 10-3, being outshot 42-27. Penalty minutes were high on both teams, but power plays were also quite clinical on both teams as well. 49 minutes to 46 minutes and penalties. It's the Tigers who were 4 for 9 on the night, and the Buccaneers who were 3 for 9 on the night. So a huge win for the Telford Tigers in defence of their cup title. Even they would have been confident going into Sunday and knowing that they weren't going to throw that one away, but only time would tell. Moving into the Sunday then, and it's the Altrincham Aces hosting the Sutton Sting. I don't have any goal scorers for you, I'm afraid. The box scores supplied by NIHL Stats and Joe. Again, all your hard work is much appreciated. Please help this guy out and get your bits and bobs off to him as quick as you possibly can. But it's the Sutton Sting who take the game 10-6. So quite a lot of goals scored in this game and only a 4-goal margin. But as a betting man, you will only back the Sutton Sting in this scenario. And then the final game of the Laidler Cup is the Billingham Buccaneers hosting the Telford Tigers with that huge 10-3 deficit. What could the Billingham Buccaneers do? And by God, did they give it a go. If not for some late penalty trouble, they would have probably got much closer. The Buccaneers run out 7-4 winners. I mean, I'm just trying to quickly look through now because it'll give me a better indication. Yeah, the Buccaneers were at 1.5-1 to good and must have been thinking they were in dreamland as they got ever closer to the Telford Tigers. But it wasn't to be. It's the Tigers that take the tie and advance into the cup final. But what huge confidence the Buccaneers can take from this game moving forward. Yep, they've lost 3 games to Sutton Sting already, and I think they've lost 2 to Coventry. But they've shown that they can play with the big teams. And it'll probably be a bit of a worry for Telford as well, knowing that they are trying to catch the Sutton Sting. They have a big league title game next week, the Sting and the Tigers. And I think the Sting could be thinking, we are quids in here after they lost to the Buccaneers on Sunday. So yeah, all will be very, very interesting indeed. We'll go through the goal scorers on for this game. I'm just quickly looking to see Vladimir Luka having quite a quiet game on the Sunday. Just the 1 point in total for him. So the goal scorers were for the Billingham Buccaneers: Price with 2, Wallace, Sam Dowd, Simon Geldart, Fraser and Wakefield. And it's Hunt, Keys, Price and Mitchell on the score sheet for the Tigers. So, like I mentioned a bit earlier on there, they will be back into league action this weekend. So let's have a little look to see who's where in what games. And on the Saturday, the Kingston Sharks host the Billingham Buccaneers. The Altrincham Aces host the Bradford Bulldogs. There's a huge game in Sheffield where the Sutton Sting take on the Telford Tigers. Can the Tigers get that game back? They lost earlier in the season. On Sunday, the Sheffield Titans host the Billingham Buccaneers at lunchtime. The Bradford Bulldogs host the Kingston Sharks. And the Telford Tigers host the Deeside Ducks in what will be a double weekend for them. I'm not going to go through the league tables because not much has changed in the Laidlaw, obviously, with it being Cup semi-final weekend. But what we will do now is we'll jump over into the north. We've gone through the league games, so we'll touch on the cup games. We'll see what happened where and who plays who in the final. Obviously, the ladler, I cannot really say at the moment it's Telford versus Sutton. Sutton do have that one game to play against the Aces in the return leg, and it's only a 4-goal game, so anything can happen. But a betting man that I am says it would be the Sutton Sting versus the Telford Tigers. Moving into the Morley then, and it's the Billingham Stars at home on Saturday night to the Hull Jets. They've seen a lot of each other the last couple of years with the 4 league games that they play, and now it seems to be the mandatory cup semi-finals as well. It's the Billingham Stars take the game 5-2. Not the best game from the Billingham Stars. They just seem to be stuck in second, third gear. Couldn't really get it going. Says though outshot 45-39. But I didn't feel Hull were that dominant on the ice. Obviously, they had a much stronger bench, missing Vad Volkanovs and Boris Gieber. But the signing of Zevid Shirinox obviously helps their cause. They stopped all 2 ways from travelling as well. So a very full bench for the Hull Jets. Due to fixtures elsewhere, meaning Stars had to give up home ice advantage as well, there was a huge opportunity for the Hull Jets going into this weekend. But as I said, a 5-2 victory for the Billingham Stars give the Stars a first leg advantage. And it's 2 goals for Brown, 2 goals for Sykes, and a goal for Callum Wilkinson, and Daintiff, and a goal on debut for Jurnox. Game didn't have much of an incident, like I say. It was a weird performance from both teams, to be fair. I expected an end-to-end game, but it was just more of a huffing and puffing from the Jets. It seemed like they came into Billingham to maybe go back to Hull 1 or 2 goals down and then see what they could do on home ice on the Sunday. But it just never seemed to be, even though a 5-2 scoreline is not massive, Billingham always seemed to be in control, even without the puck. Just a disciplined performance. And again, I think from Hull, I don't think they came and put everything into that game. They just came to make sure they did not lose. And unfortunately, they did lose 5-2. They took a timeout around 5 minutes into the third period, I think it was. And it was obviously very clear that it was let's just not concede any more goals. We're 2 down, we'll take it back into home ice tomorrow and we'll go from there. But a great player from Sykes and Ian Brown, and a sucker punch late 5th goal for the Stars really put 1-0 in the Jets' coffin. Moving over into the second semi-final between the Dragons and the Hawks, and I just think this went everywhere that everyone expected it to do. For all the talent in D-side, it isn't playing like a very talented side at all. Talented individuals, but nothing there as a team. Defensively, so poor. And we know the Hawks ain't the greatest in defence, but what they do have is a very, very talented forward line. Practically a National League roster full of ex-National League players. I think there's 6 or 7 of them. I might have to look to see how many National League games there is in their roster, because I can imagine it being quite a few. So it is a stacked roster, and it was just a Hawks victory like everyone would expect, to win the game 8-3, outshooting their horse 42-39. Hayek and Witkowski, as you'd expect for the Dragons, and Sporther scores 2, Davies, Streetley, McKinney getting 2, Barnes and Crawley. So you can see there 3 ex-National League players right there on the score sheet with 4 of the goals. And obviously we know Crawley's playing with the Storm and getting time with Telford Tigers as well. So a lot of National League experience there. I think they've kind of put the development side of things on the back burner for the short time. And I couldn't blame him, to be honest. I know they've harped on about development over the last couple of years, but it's not their development, if you know what I mean. And they've brought in kids from other clubs. It's not their junior development. And again, their junior development's doing great work, getting it off the ground. It's probably somewhere 4 or 5 years off from having a production line as such. Before there's something they can get really excited about. But it's good to see the hard work going in at the Blackburn Academy. But at the moment, yeah, his team development is kind of on the back burner when they're bringing players in like 38-year-old Peter Valusiak, McKinney's no spring chicken, and bringing all the guys in like that. And yeah, they're in a win now mode, and you can't blame them for that. They had a great year last year, and they'll be looking to improve that this year by adding the league title, and hopefully they'll be hoping to defend the cup and the playoffs. Moving into Sunday then. And it is easier just to start with the Hawks and Dragons game. Hawks on home ice, scoreline a bit closer, but I don't think the fixture was ever in any sort of doubt. It's 6-3 the scoreline for the Blackburn Hawks. Warnock getting 2, Sporth, Mayo, Barnes and Lutwyche all on the score sheet, and it's Hayek, Dickinson and Witkowski on the score sheet for D-side. Shots were 41 apiece. A few more penalty minutes in this game. I believe there was a dust-up between Simpson and Streetley, which is out there on social media. So moving in to, and obviously with that victory as well on home ice, the Hawks do move into the Morley Cup final, giving themselves a chance to defend their title. And they will be joined by last year's finalists, 3 times finalists in a row now, third year in a row that the Billingham Stars make the final. They beat the Hull Jets in Hull 8-1 to round off a good weekend as well. The Jets did take an early lead with a fantastic equaliser not long after Hull Jets scored by Roland's grit hands. It just knocked all the wind out of the Hull Jets. And it was, like I say, Lucas Dowdle, Elder scoring 2, and McNulty scoring 2, Galloway, Helens, all on the score sheet. Yeardley for the Hull Jets, 8-1, outshooting their horse 39-40 as well. A couple of flashpoints in the game. Brealey ended up in an incident with Michael Elder, where he gets a boarding call. Elder's line mate James Moss answered the bell in defence of his teammate, scrapped it out with Brealey. And to be fair to Brealey, I don't think it was a deliberate boarding. It was just badly timed, and he answered the bell like a true gentleman, in my opinion. I think he knew what was coming. He expected it to be coming, and he just wore it. And you can't say it fairer than that, to be honest. I don't think anything will come of the fighting. The fight was fair and square on both sides. The boarding, that'll be assessed by DOPS. I believe, in my personal opinion, the call on the ice as 5-minute major, and then plus the game, I believe it's not worthy of a ban. I think the 5-minute major on the ice was the correct call. There was another 5-minute major in the game. I think once that gets looked at, if it gets looked at, gets overturned to no penalty at all. Young Ethan Daith comes up against, I believe it was Joe Walls. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it was Joe Walls. I'd have to look on the sheet. I think it's Joe Walls, Joe Walls got a 5-minute major for boarding. One lad's a lot bigger than the other. It's as simple as that. Walls was a bit stronger, skating from the face-off dot towards the corner. Ethan Daith looks to have lost an edge and slides into the boards, picks up what looked like to be an injury to the shoulder, collarbone. I haven't heard anything since, so I don't know if it's serious or if he'll be back playing this week. So keep an eye on the socials for that. So there we have it then. We have a Morley Cup final. We have a repeat of last year. It's the Hawks, it's the Stars, and I'm sure the Hawks fans will be begging for a repeat. And I can tell you right now, the Stars are starting to think, are we ever going to win this cup? We've got another opportunity, our third opportunity in a row to win this cup. Personally believed was robbed against the Solway Sharks. I have my reasons for that. The video footage kind of backs me up as well with that. But that's gone now. Solway took that cup and they've now left the league. No complaints from last year. It just didn't happen for us. It was Adam Barnes' big night, and he wins the cup for the Blackburn Hawks last year. And I'm sure the Stars will be looking for revenge this year. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. Have a little look at the league tables before I look at the fixtures next year. Obviously, the Widnes Wild winning last weekend put them 3 points behind the Leeds Knights, Phoenix, who picked up an overtime loss. And obviously the Lions got themselves a little bit closer to the Whitley Warriors, 5 points behind the Warriors in 6th place, but the Warriors do have 2 games in hand, so I think the Lions will be stuck in that 7th spot now. It just all depends whether the Widnes Wild could now go on a run and catch the Leeds Knights. Fixtures for next weekend, or this coming weekend, however you want to call it. On the Saturday, we have the Sheffield Scimitars versus the Whitley Warriors. We have a huge game in Solihull Barons playing the Hull Jets. The Widnes Wild can now spring a shock against rivals the Blackburn Hawks. And then into Sunday, we have a couple of more huge games. The Whitley Warriors hosting the Solihull Barons. I think that'll be a great game. Billingham Stars host the Sheffield Scimitars. The Blackburn Hawks host the Leeds Knights. And the Nottingham Lions and the Deeside Dragons is also a very, very interesting game for me. Especially if the Lions can't be at full strength. So that just about covers it from me. There is a few bits and bobs. Obviously, I mentioned David Jurinox. He's signed over at the Hull Jets. Vladimir Luka steps down from the National League and signs for Tigers 2. I think it's absolutely bullshit, but it is what it is, and I understand why it's happened. And it's nobody's fault. Obviously, the lad wants to play hockey somewhere. He's settled in Telford. It's just the way it goes. It's just unlucky for teams who have to go up against him. Like I said, I just think there should have been something in place where he couldn't have played the semi-finals this weekend, because that's just a bit shit, really. And would have made a massive difference with these 8 points as well. Just quickly scanning through my notes of what I've got. The Sheffield Scimitars obviously made some signings. I think they've got Matty Blower in net on a 2-way with Telford. Lewis Otley is signed in Sheffield Scimitars as well. And Brandon Shard has also gone back to the Scimitars. So some warm bodies arriving in Sheffield. What else do we have? Do we have anything else? Sorry, I'm just flicking through my notes. And that just about covers it. There was a couple of suspensions from Saturday. Damani James suspended for 6 games. Carl Bacon obviously had his to-do last weekend with the Warriors. He got a suspension. Dean Holland had a to-do with Mike Clancy. My heart bleeds there for either one of them. Dean Holland getting a suspension. And Christian Pelling also picking up a suspension for the Scimitars. Big loss for them. And Billy King also getting a suspension for the Altrincham Aces. So that just about covers it for this week. Yeah, not a lot to go at really, obviously with it being semi-final weekend. It's about 4 weeks now to the Morley final and the Layla final, so we've got a load of league games in between. Some huge league points available. Obviously the Blackburn Hawks who want to chase down the Billingham Stars. The Telford Tigers are going to be chasing down the Sutton Sting and battling for playoff position as well. Thank you for listening again this week. If you've got any questions, anything you want to talk about, do drop me a message, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or on the emails. I've been your host. I love being your host every week. If you ever want to talk hockey, you know where to find me. You can get me online. You can find me at games, always at Billingham Stars games. That is all for this week. So tune in for next week when we get back into league action in the north. Bye for now.